Judas Priest. It is hot in the studio. Look at this. Look, I'm sweating. Anyway. All right, I just have to record. This has been an adventure. I don't know why it has been so hard to get everything to work tonight, including myself. Look at this glisten off the top of my head. That's the first problem. It is hot as balls in the studio tonight, and I don't know why. It is hot, and I've been sweating, and this is ridiculous. So, shall we start? Welcome to the Range Minded Podcast. I am your host, Steve Zimmerman, and I am grateful to have you here if you're a first-timer or if you're returning. Fabulous. Welcome to the show. If you don't know anything about the podcast, or even if you do, whatever, you need to know that the podcast, we do not back down on the Second Amendment. I don't pretend that it is some kind of a fallacy. I know it's the real deal. It was written by the founders for you and for me. Not created in some Hollywood back room with a crayon. It's not some kind of a limitation on American citizens. No. It is a gift from our founders. No, not even that. It was written and enunciated and put into verbiage by the founders. A gift from Providence that cannot be taken away by any kind of tyrant. In fact, that's what it's for, is to be the ultimate check to tyranny.
Hell yes.
That's the way it is. So, tonight's episode, by the way, it is like 12:30. I'm not kidding you when I said I had some freaking issues. It doesn't matter. You don't care. You just want to know what we're talking about tonight. Tonight, I want to talk about a few things that we've touched on before. I feel like we just kind of need to recap on what's the dealios over the last few months in the 2A sphere. A lot of good things have been happening that I haven't talked about. I would say kind of on purpose. Hopefully you just hang out and listen to what we're talking about. There's some good stuff. There's some frustrating stuff. And who knows, I might say something really offensive that could get me canceled off the tubes. You never know. It's it's like a box of chocolates joining me. Anyway, shall we just move on? Let's. Okay. I got to refer to my show notes here and there, so I apologize. I don't apologize. I don't care. I don't care if you don't like it if I look at my show notes or not. This is who I am, and this is who you get. So I wanted to, let's set the table. So 2026, as far as the 2A sphere, has been pretty interesting. Not what I expected, and I don't know if even good or bad or indifferent. It's just been an interesting year for the Second Amendment, for the liberty of you and me, and all us crazy cats that call ourselves Americans. It started off with a big, beautiful bill, right? We had hoped we'd see some amazing stuff happen with the big, beautiful bill. And, I mean, we did get tax stamps down to 0. They should be completely null and void. But ATF has no power to do that. The president has no power to do that. Congress has the power to do that. And they had the ability in that big, beautiful bill to say, but they chose not to.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa. That's too damn bad.
Later on, under who knows what pressure, possibly President Trump, I guess. I know he's going to take credit for it. They dropped that tax to 0, which is great. And I'm cool with that. But moving on after that, we saw some pretty crazy court cases take place. We saw, was it Hamani? No, that we're going to talk about that later. The vampire rule, what's it called? In Hawaii, aloha. The two biggest court cases that we'd seen up to this point in this term, well, I guess, Yeah, they are. They finished the term, right? So next term is going to be awesome. We're going to talk about that. But so they visited the Hawaii thing, the vampire rule. What's the name of that case? My hell, where is it? Whatever. So here's the deal. Hawaii said the spirit of aloha says like you can't have guns on private property. The owner of the property has to say okay, which is really more California. If it's Hawaii, it's like, hey, cuz you can't have no guns in here, cuz we say, bro. You know the kind, bro. That's a pretty piss poor Hawaiian, but. They said, by the spirit of aloha, no guns are allowed anywhere. Everywhere is a safe space unless the owner of a property explicitly says or has signage or whatever says, yeah, you can come in and carry. Effectively making the Second Amendment impossible to exercise in Hawaii. Now, of course, that made Hawaii so much safer. But, or did it? I don't know. I didn't look at the stats. What it really did is ensured that law-abiding citizens would be disarmed and potential victims, while the criminals didn't care because they were carrying anyways. They're probably prohibited persons, and they didn't care. They weren't going to follow the law. So then the Supreme Court says, no, slap your hands. If you remember in the Bruin decision, we went from interest-based to history, text, and tradition, and there are no historical analogs of banning firearms on private property. Effectively saying no, right? No, you can't do that. Hawaii was like, hey now, chill. That's right. Williford versus Lopez. I knew I had it somewhere. Hawaii's like, hey, look, you can't. You're ruining private property owners' rights. And the SCOTUS is like, no. We're actually strengthening the rights of these private property owners by allowing them to say no.
Stop it. Get some help.
Now, think about it. It's like, let's just say this was incorporated into the First Amendment, because it's the easiest one. And nowhere in, I don't know, Anywhereville, Ohio. The watcher probably isn't Anywhereville, Ohio. They say, okay, you can no longer talk to anybody on the street unless you can only say these specific phrases, and that's it. No pictures, no other communication in any way, shape, or form. No signs, especially no signs, unless the owner explicitly says you can open your mouth and ask other questions. Obviously, that is incredibly a stupid analogy, but it still kind of fits. Or religion. Oh, you cannot go in this church. You cannot go in that church. No synagogues unless we say it's okay. Clearly wouldn't fly. So why is it okay to do it to the Second Amendment? That makes no sense whatsoever. And that's what the Supreme Court said. No, you cannot completely blanket restrict someone's ability to exercise an enumerated right.
Lecture me, hotshot. I know what I'm doing.
Private property owners do have the ability to say, please don't bring your weapons in this building. And they're totally cool to do so. And that's the way it should be. But, you know how it is. Hawaii's crazy. The decision making was pretty interesting. Obviously, the usual says party line, basically, which it shouldn't be party line, by the way, in the Supreme Court. It should be absolutely and completely biased. But it's not. That's kind of an issue. Oh, hi, Editor Steve here. I was supposed to say unbiased. The court is completely biased. I meant to say unbiased. All right? Just chill. And the anti-gun crowd would love to use that bias in their own way to restrict many rights of you and me. So Roberts, Alito, Thomas, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Barrett, they all said, yeah, you can't restrict this. And then, of course, we have the whining crowd. Kagan and Ketanji Jackson Brown and Sotomayor. They're like, man, you man. Of course. Is that a little too am I being too rude? I don't care. It's a joke. Those women. No, it has nothing to do with them being women, but they're definitely childish and weirdly not terribly bright. But they're extremely educated, but not real bright. I don't understand these people.
Shut up, bitch! Oh my God!
Anyways, they just wanted to say, hey, the Second Amendment's a second-class right. It's outdated, it's violent, and for the sake of the people's safety, they shouldn't be allowed to carry guns. Really, it's so frustrating. So it's so great that our founders fought for our freedom, and they gave us they explained the original 10 rights. Right, they went down the amendments and said this don't touch. Government cannot touch these. 200 and almost 50 years later, at this point, I mean it is now, but. The manager at 7-Eleven could say, "Oh no, sorry, no gun." Come on, is that racist? I don't care.
Sorry.
Listen. This has bigger implications than what people may think off the top. This sets a precedent. So other states that are doing similar things are going to have to try and hurdle over this decision. New York, California, Oregon, Washington, a handful of others that really hate your ability to keep and bear arms for both offense and defense, by the way. They don't like this, and this is going to be a huge issue for them in the future because they're going to go to court in those states and those localities, and if you live in one of those states, maybe you need to be represented in this court case. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. It's not going to go away. It's a very positive thing, which we'll get to that later. I was just thinking about the Supreme Court and the current makeup of the Supreme Court. A lot of things can change if somebody retires or passes away. We saw that with Alito. Just pay attention because the president is the one that proposes these individuals to sit on that highest court in the land. The Hamani case, it's another big deal. And this one really has more to do with gun owners than maybe some people want to say. Oh, why? Look, it's my phone. This is why I had to stop. What is going on here? Charge, you bitch. For some reason, my camera is not charging, and it's going to die, and I'm going to be freaking upset. US v. Hamani. It says it's charging, but that's what's frustrating. So US v. Hamani. Again, this has to do with medical marijuana or marijuana and rights altogether. So Mr. Hamani, I don't know for sure. I really don't know the exact details of this case because I am such an amazing podcast host. I didn't look it up exactly. My camera's crooked. Listen, I'm sorry, but it's driving me crazy. This is great. This is great content. This is why you come to the show, to see me fiddle fart around with my equipment and say bad words that will have to be bleeped out. So, possession of marijuana. So, Mr. Hamani was found in possession or under the influence of weed while exercising his Second Amendment rights. Now, the Fifth Circuit said, hey, this is unconstitutional. And the Supreme Court said, you're right, it is. If they're prescribed this, that doesn't nullify their ability to exercise any other rights. That's not fair. So, boom. The huge deal. And not only that, this was a unanimous decision by the Supreme Court. Unanimous. Which makes me wonder, are they thinking that they can get away with the anti-gunners? Are they thinking, I wonder if this is an appetizer? Either way, The feds say, hey. Oh, and by the way, it was rescheduled, right? Marijuana has been rescheduled since then. So we're seeing things change in there. And if you've ever filled out a 4473, you know where it says, are you an unlawful user of marijuana? Damn! It used to say anything just about using marijuana, right? So, this is going to have implications long term. Are they going to just totally open up marijuana and just legalize it? I don't know. I don't know if that's the best case scenario. I know a lot of folks use weed and they're like, bro, it's not gonna be that bad, bro. It's okay. Let's get a pizza. But I'm worried that I've had friends use weed. I've never done any drugs, actually, believe it or not. I've never drank, never done weed, none of that stuff. So I don't know what it feels like. I may have been close enough around where I almost got a contact high, but I promise I've never done drugs personally myself, other than Advil and Tylenol, that kind of stuff. And stinking NyQuil, that's disgusting. How do you people take NyQuil? That's nasty. Basically, okay, so the government says, hey, come on, you can't do that. You got to be nice. We got to go through the whole thing. Like, does this make a person completely incapacitated or unable to function? That might be one thing, but it's going to change a lot of things down the road. I don't know exactly what it's going to change right now, but we're seeing some things change. Honestly, I think I've said this before. I've definitely said this in public. I'm not sure if I've said it in the show before. Take weed off the 4473. Legalize it completely. Great. Oh my gosh. I told you that my stuff was not cooperating. Now look, I'm forced to go back to my phone and use my mic, my this mic, the lav mic. The lavatory mic. Oh, don't take this into the lavatory. This thing, lapel mic. This, my DJI. Okay, where was I? Hamani, right? The weed case. This is going to have some interesting future effects on the Second Amendment. I feel. I'm not quite sure how this is going to work out, but we'll see. The ATF has to figure it out. The Department of Justice has a lot to figure out, and I'm sure they will at some point. So, we'll see where this goes from there. Either way, the lefties, the anti-gun crowd, is going to use this as a fundraiser. It might even put them in a little of a tight spot because they're not quite sure exactly what to do with this, because it's legalizing weed and it's also making them cry about the other stuff. All right. Speaking of crying, this is huge. Huge. This is absolutely huge. Can you guys hear me okay? Everybody back there? Can you hear me all right? This is going to be a big one. So, Viramontes, and we talked about this. I was on a live last week, 2 weeks ago, probably 2 weeks ago, Fortnite Tuesday. Hi, Editor Steve again. I was supposed to say Tuesday Arvo. If you know what that means, you got it. Okay, back to the show. We talked about this case, Viramontes versus Cook County, and this Higgins case. This is going to be this Grant v. Higgins case. These are both huge cases when it comes to banning that scary the devil of a gun, the AR-15, its variants, and other semi-automatic assault rifles, the ones that make cat ladies dry and unhappy more than they already are.
Huh?
So with this Viramontes case v. Cook County, that's Cook County, Illinois. So we know how friendly Illinois is to all things to at least the government. The citizens are actually pretty solid, a lot of them. And then the other ones, the Higgins case, that is, I believe, the state of Connecticut. Both of them, this is all about banning the AR-15. Now, you can already see where this case could have massive national implications.
Oh my God! Wow!
So, obviously, you know what they're saying when it comes to the AR-15s. They think they're scary, they're weapons of war. We hear that all the time, that they're weapons of war, yet I don't know of any issuing military in the world, and there might be, but none that I am aware of, that have ever issued AR-15s. M4s and M16s, totally different story, but they function slightly different. You see, a semi-automatic is not something you would want to take to war per se because of rate of fire. As far as maybe effectiveness, that could be argued in a different way. That's not going to be what we're talking about tonight. Nonetheless, these aren't weapons of war. Just because they look like a weapon of war does not make them as such. Now, in Chicago, on the streets of Chicago, that is a war zone. And so I could see where some might make that argument in that area. But that's not a gun problem, despite what so many want to make you believe. That seems to be more of a social issue that they need to squelch down, maybe a law enforcement issue. Again, there are over 20,000 laws on the United States books, whether it be state or federal, regarding firearms laws. So, yeah, I think there's plenty that they could actually use and exercise to squelch the criminal activity if they really, really wanted to. But for some reason, they like to let them out of jail same day. They slap them on the wrist, or they just let them go. I don't quite know. I don't understand it. I understand that I am not involved in the legal system or the political system, so maybe I'm just too dumb to understand their logic. But I think you and me and millions of Americans would agree that the gun is not an issue. It is the person that uses it to either save a life or take a life. And in this scary case, obviously, they're using it for nefarious purposes. But I digress. I honestly, I'm tired of hearing the crazy cat ladies.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
Complain and bitch and argue about this thing, right? How they're weapons of war. The NRA is going to make murder on the streets. There's blood going to be everywhere. The children are dying. We hear the same tropes over and over and over again, but the stats don't align with their arguments. Just so you know, don't take my word for it. Just look it up yourself. Do you know more people die falling out of bed than they do from all rifles combined on average every year? I believe the numbers are 450 on an average year. People die from falling out of bed. And then all rifles, not AR-15s, but all long guns combined, it's 300 to 400 a year. More people die from falling out of bed. We don't hear legislation about bunk bed reform because it's a high capacity or a king size. Maybe grandma's feather bed is an issue to some. I don't know. That's an old reference. I don't know how many of you guys are going to catch that one. It's ridiculous. It's honestly retarded. And I don't mean handicap retarded. I mean completely skewed and misaligned from its original understanding retarded. Like, think about retarding a timing. That's how these people think. It's retarded. There you go. And it's funny. I'm sure that the box wine selection at the liquor store is dwindling as these crazy people think about the future. And probably cat food and kitty litter, right? If you have a cat and you're like a normal person, you might want to stock up on these things because it's probably going to be a rush on it as these cases come closer to the Supreme Court hearing them. So I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. It drives me nuts. The left is very good. And I even shouldn't say the left because there are some on the right, by the way, that hate your rights as well. You better just you better just be paying attention. I don't believe, I think it's June, July. I can't remember for sure when they're going to hear these cases, so we got some time. I don't think it's this year. Maybe it is. Maybe it's because the term starts later this year again. Starts back up. Hey, Editor Steve back again. I said June or July. June's passed. We're in the middle of July, so obviously I'm a special needs case. In reality, the SCOTUS, when their next term starts here in a couple months, they're going to hear these assault weapons ban cases somewhere between October, November, somewhere in that. Okay, yeah, I know. I've had to jump in a couple times, but I want to make sure you get the clearest information. Okay, back to our regular scheduled program. Peace. Okay, my prediction on this. I'm always apprehensive to make predictions. You said make a prediction. I know. I'm a little apprehensive when it comes to making predictions on any cases because I have been disappointed so many times when it comes to Second Amendment stuff. Again, big, beautiful bill. Hearing Protection Act 1.0. We'll see what happens. If the court, in its current makeup, hears these cases in full, I think the odds of SCOTUS falling on the side of the Second Amendment via Bruin, using the Bruin test, and Heller, and honestly these last few cases that they've seen, that's where the difference is going to be made. Those are already setting precedents. There's a standard that's being set up, which is great. And then after these go through, you're going to have magazine bans, which maybe these assault rifle bans already fit into. But standard capacity magazines are going to stay standard capacity magazines. And you can see where the anti-gunners are going to freak out or are freaking out. They're already fundraising. They're sending emails out like crazy. Because their precious anti-liberty laws that they love so much are in peril, and they're kind of falling left and right all over the country. We still got huge fights. The Department of Justice, for the first time in my lifetime, is actually working on our civil liberties in a way that hasn't been seen before. We'll talk about that a little bit later, maybe when I decide to ramble on about a few things. But again, with these hearings in front of SCOTUS being weighed with the Bruin test, text, history, and tradition, and not interest balancing, we're going to see some beautiful things come out of the courts, which are going to pave the way for the next few big laws that stand in the way. It's going to be a beautiful thing. Keep your hopes up. I'm still always a little apprehensive when it comes to that kind of stuff, but I'm also excited. Can you guys hear me okay? Did I ask you that? I did. It's been a few minutes. If you're sitting on the toilet, you should probably stand up before your feet and your lower legs fall asleep. That can cause serious injury. We don't want blood clots. I want you to be able to continue to walk around. If you're at work, it's probably time to get off the toilet anyways because your boss is coming.
That's what she said.
Okay, let's talk about the ATF for a minute. Now, we've seen some amazing things I did not expect out of the ATF. I was really apprehensive about SCOTUS in the beginning just because of who we've seen in charge every administration or every second administration. Anytime an ATF director is called or even submitted as a prospect, they've been abysmal. They've been awful. I mean, look at Dettelbach. Oh, my Lanta, that guy. Oh. Anyway, he hurts my head. Thankfully, he's gone. And thankfully, his number one sidekick that didn't know how to tear down a Glock, had really big struggles of tearing down a Glock. I wonder if he's still there. I wonder if he's still there. I wonder if he maybe he left when Dettelbach got fired. Resigned. I digress. I shouldn't dream about the peril of my enemies so much. That's not healthy. Sun Tzu, chapter 17. I'm just kidding, that's not in there. The Art of the War. Man, I am all over the place. It's almost 1 o'clock, so you're getting me in full spectrum mode right now. So April 29th, it's a good thing I got notes to refer to, or this could be bad. April 29th of this year, the ATF proposed, was it 34 rules, which a few more I think are still coming. And a lot of them were kind of administrative. There were some just really ones on there, but there are some good ones. And I think there's still time to make your voice heard. I really need to look that up because I haven't commented yet. I know. Let's hurry and get it done. It might be over. I don't know. Anyway, so there's these 34 rules that they wanted to get stuff going. Again, we had the NFA tax stamp decreased to 0, but Congress needs to do something there. Bump stocks, they've changed their mind on bump stocks and FRTs, which is great. All these things need to just go by the wayside. We really need a reformation on the NFA. And when I mean reformation, I mean abolition of the NFA. There's absolutely no point that SBRs and SBSs are stuck, and suppressors are stuck in the NFA. No reason whatsoever. I can get the argument for full auto, but I still think they should be taken off that. The NFA just needs to go away. In my opinion, and I'm sure this might upset a few people, the private market, the capitalist market, should dictate the restriction, if you will, of full autos by price. And I know saying that, people don't like that because, well, what about us little people that want full autos? That you can build one, right? Like I say, the NFA needs to just disappear. Full auto, if you haven't shot full auto, it's fun. It is a good time. It's really expensive. So it's kind of a rich man's hobby as it sits anyways. But it's really, there's not a huge benefit other than the giggle switch, the fun factor of it all. There is no tactical advantage, I guess, suppressive fire. Okay, so there are some tactical advantages, but not a lot. Not a lot. You can hate me for saying that. That's fine. I don't care. I'm salty tonight. I really don't care. I've been so frustrated with my equipment that you can complain. Just comment below. Give me your complaints below. I'm not going to read them, but just kidding. I read them. Now, the ATF is looking good. Is looking good for the most part. Compiled with the Department of Justice's Second Amendment. Man, it's late. I can't think of the word. The group of people that are taking care of your Second Amendment in a good way. That's been a huge boon because we've seen them go after Virginia, California, Washington, and lots of other states, and hopefully lots of other cities, and prosecuting for civil rights violations. This is good. I still think the ATF is way too big. It should be a much smaller organization, but they don't need all the law enforcement that they do. They can really partner up with local or domestic agencies and make things happen. They can keep their forensic labs open. They can do all that stuff still, but they don't need as big a footprint as what they have right now, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, and it's really not worth a lot. The ATF is not my best friend. I'm not going to pretend like we're BFFs forever now because SCOTUS is in charge. That's not what I'm saying. I'm very apprehensive with an agency that could easily, with one change of mind, make all of us felons in a hurry without any congressional modifications to any laws. That's a problem, and I worry about that. But we'll see where this goes. Again, it looks like we're in a good spot with the ATF for the most part, but I don't know. This whole marijuana change, that's going to change some stuff for them. I'm sure they're probably going to have to do another 4473, which they already came out with one recently, and they'll just keep doing it again. There's some cool stuff, like these proposed changes about if you reside in a state, and there's some hoops you got to go through that are a bit questionable, but you can have a firearm mailed directly to your house from let's say, so I live in eastern Idaho. If I found a gun in Coeur d'Alene, which is way up north, I could say, hey, I'm going to buy that, and why don't you ship it to my house? And they say, okay, question, I need all your ID and information so I can prove who you are. There's some kind of a verification process. They have my ID and through a secure network or somehow, some way. I'm not sure how that's going to work. And then they just mail it to my house. I don't have to go to a local dealer to me and pay another fee to have it transferred to me. So that's pretty rad. But I heard there's some issues there I haven't looked into, but I believe the source I heard them from about opening up to inspections and whatnot from the ATF, which I'm not cool with. We'll see. For right now, it looks pretty okay with the GATF. So let's scroll down. Okay, this is something I want to touch on a little bit. So all these cases that we're seeing trickle through, and all the stuff that the Supreme Court has ruled on in pro-gun ways, that is causing a serious disturbance in the force on the anti-gun crowd. Now, I said this a second ago. It's not just the left that want you to be disarmed. There are folks in the Republican Party, probably within your state, that have an R after their name, that are happy to disarm you. Do your homework. Don't just trust them because they talk real nice and their hair looks good, or they're attractive, which seems to be some men vote. I never saw Gavin Newsom hot, but California voted for him, so whatever. We hear it over and over. There's blood in the streets. Anytime a state changes their concealed carry laws, the crowd goes nuts. The anti-gun crowd about a war zone, blood in the streets, blood on the hands of the NRA. It's nonstop. We hear the exact same tropes every time things go our way, which is the way of liberty. By the way, we're a republic, not a democracy. It's super frustrating, and it doesn't help that websites like the Gun Violence Archive produces falsified numbers, or includes incidences that probably shouldn't be included in mass shootings per year. The data is so skewed, it's ridiculous, and they love to do it. Have you guys seen like the interviews of all these Europeans that have come over, and foreigners, for the World Cup, and say, wow, we didn't realize how safe America is, how beautiful and clean it is. So we just hear all these stories on the news about gun violence in the streets, and we don't see it. Yeah, weird. Like, it doesn't exist the way the media is portraying it. Weird indeed. We'll see. Sounds like they have really the anti-guns. I should think of a nice term for them. The lonely cat women and their cuckold husbands. They use this anytime this stuff happens. They use it for fundraising, and that's fine. They can raise funds. People can have their perspective on firearms. I'm not saying everybody has to own guns. I don't want everybody owning guns. I've met people that do own guns, and I don't want them having guns. Anybody that's worked on a range or taught a few classes knows exactly what I'm talking about. You meet that one or two people where you're just like, oh my gosh. Side note, I promise I took my pills. But they're definitely using all this stuff for fundraising. They're freaking out. I used to get a lot of stuff from Move On. Maybe I'd unsub to that. I used to get so much. I somehow somebody put me on the mailing list, or I inadvertently put myself on the mailing list. I don't know. It's not a good summer for them, the anti-gun crowd. Not a good summer at all. And the other thing I'm really frustrated about is the platform that you're watching this on as well. Most likely. and I'm starting to feel like it doesn't matter what platform you're watching or listening to this on. They really don't care about the Second Amendment all that much, which is sad. They've bought into these huge lies about the way gun owners are, how they vote, the stereotype that they're pushing, and the violence. And there is gun violence. Violence involving guns. Guns don't commit violence. People do. Yeah, there's some that exists, which is sad, and it should be reduced. And I know the numbers of how many people die each year, and if you include the suicides, it's well, actually, what is it this year? It's gone down a little some, but I want to say it was like 62 something, but I don't think it's that high last year. But that 60% of those are suicides. I think their actual number is somewhere around 20,000 people a year die from bad guys using guns, which is sad. It's too much. But when you look at other causality of mortality, it's really not the public health epidemic that they're pushing. But what I was going at is some of these huge media platforms, social media platforms, have been very, very difficult for creators like me and others that speak about this kind of stuff, which is really frustrating. I understand that they're private companies; they can do what they want. But what was I listening to? I was listening to somebody on X. They had a live going on, and he had 60 videos deleted off his YouTube channel last month. 60. Maybe it was last week. It was a ton. It was way too many. Because the guidelines, they decided, man, let's do it. And I don't know if they're using AI or if there's actually physical people watching it. But it's whatever it is, it's gross misconduct. And it's kind of unfair. And we should be able to speak our rights. We should be able to. There's so much other garbage that's being pushed on these video and audio platforms that probably don't meet the terms of service, but they're not cutting them off. But on a constitutionally protected right, because somebody doesn't like the way we sound or the way we think, that's a little asinine. But it's carrying on, and it's super frustrating. As well as, and I know this is kind of a tangent, but it still fits in the anti-gun crowd. We're seeing it even on social media influencers. And if you saw the last video, there's a difference between an influencer and a content creator in my perspective. A content creator is somebody like me that tries to present information in a way that is consumable and hopefully brings it in a way that's understandable and comprehensible. I don't make any money on the show, unless you want to help. That'd be super great, actually. But an influencer, to me, is somebody just basically whoring out their personality and grifting off other things. This is going to piss some people off, actually. I feel like there's a lot of people that I really used to like that are influencers. They're not content creators like they say. They're influencers. And, man, they are grifting so hard off this Charlie Kirk stuff. It's so disappointing. You can think however you want to think. Magic bullet, 2 shooters, Israel connection, whatever. It doesn't matter. But when evidence was presented in the preliminary hearing that defeats a lot of these arguments, and they're still pushing the same BS, like, come on. I can't. It's super disappointing because they're conservatives, right? All they're doing is they're grifting off of this information. They're dividing and tribalizing our own side. It almost sounds like an op to me, by the way. Like, what are you guys doing? Are you guys CIA? Are you really working for the left and just like trying to divide us all? Like, bro, like, I'm going to make me a tinfoil hat. Actually, that'd be hilarious. Next episode, I'll have a tinfoil hat. It's just super frustrating that we're catching grief on so many levels, including our own camp. I saw another post by a content creator that I really like. She's awesome. She made a comment about people grifting off of her influence and her her social connections and all that stuff. It's super disappointing. That happens a lot. In fact, you go to SHOT Show or any of these big trade shows like that, you get around the community enough, you see that. It's unfortunate, and hope I'm not guilty of that. Maybe I have been guilty of that. I don't make any money, so I don't know what the issue is there, but I do know of, and I think I know of the very individual that she was talking about. And yeah, she's 100% correct that if it is this individual she had in mind making this post, yeah, she's grifting off of the information and the network of other people, and definitely whoring out her reputation, which is super sad. But personalities are going to personality, right? People are just crazy. That's my soapbox as far as that's concerned. So we talked about a few different things. I'm going to wrap this up. We're probably 45 minutes. I don't know, because this camera and the other camera, I don't know when the camera shut off on the other side. What does this all mean to you? So, getting rid of the whole marijuana thing and the vampire rule in Hawaii, like I said, those set a precedent for if you live in states that don't let you carry, have too many sensitive places, maybe you're prescribed medical marijuana and you feel like that's restricting your ability to exercise your Second Amendment rights. These are huge deals. They hold some impact specifically for you, and they do for millions of Americans that live in these states or communities. It's awesome. It's going to change the landscape of the Second Amendment, which has needed to happen for a very long time. So that's a blessing. And then when it comes to the, not Hamani, what's the other one? Veramontes case in Chicago and the other one in Cincinnati. Huge potential impacts for states that ban the most common firearm in the United States, the AR-15. If the AR-15 was the problem, the sole problem, I think we would know. Like, it would be very obvious. They are used in a very small fraction of gun violent crime, like a very small amount of times. I think it's like 0.02% or something, 0.2%. It's a rounding error in some cases. So we'll see. If you haven't taken advantage of the tax stamp being gone, it's probably a good idea to take advantage of that. I haven't even taken advantage of it, but I've been kind of broke. There's a lot of things that happened. I think I told you my well went out a few weeks ago, and that was fun and kind of took all my money. So that was fun. Yeah. Things that you should do right now. Right now, you should get involved in your state gun rights groups right now. Maybe not right now. I mean, it's late. Maybe it's not late. Maybe you're still on the toilet. But get involved in your local, at least your state Pro 2A groups. Do something. Make some kind of a donation. Help lobby. Whatever. Do something. And then join some of the national organizations. The other day, I had a chance to talk to a fellow that's working on his re-election to get on the board of the NRA a second or third time. I had struggles with the NRA. I still have my trepidations with the NRA, but it really feels like with everything that happened in New York and the lawsuits and stuff, it forced the NRA to purge and go back to the direction that they were originally on. Again, I have my trepidations. I'm still going to be very cautious with that organization. I'm still a life member. I didn't get rid of my membership with the NRA. I paid for it all up front. So, I mean, I'm not losing any more money if I do. We're all on the same team when it comes to that. We're all on the same team. Yeah, there's some players that are much better than other players. Some should just be the water boy. I get it. But we're all on the same team. We're moving towards the same direction. We really need to help lead and guide and perpetuate the next generation's ability to enjoy the Second Amendment rights that we have, and we can hopefully restore to our children and grandchildren more rights than we have enjoyed in our lifetimes. So support those groups: Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America. We already talked about the NRA. Yeah, Second Amendment, Firearms Policy Coalition. That was the other one. I couldn't think of the other one. Let's make it happen. Don't fall for the baiting by the anti-gun crowd. You're smarter than that. Educate yourself on stuff. Read the decisions on the cases that we talked about, the Hawaii case and the marijuana case. Understand what the Second Amendment, how the Second Amendment was viewed, and how Bruin was utilized in making decisions on those cases, and then keep an eye on these upcoming cases in this next term. Big deal. Okay, I think we should let you go. I really appreciate having you guys here. If you didn't like what I had to say, if you think this video sucks, you should probably comment and let me know why. That'd be great. If you liked this video and you like this content and you appreciate the time I put into it, you should leave a comment and let me know why. I really do appreciate it. If you had fun tonight, like, share, comment, blah, blah, all that other stuff. Subscribe to it really helps. I would love to hit 500 subs so I can actually start monetizing this channel in some way, shape, or form. That'd be helpful. If you want to help out the show, I have a Patreon or a link tree, which will be in the description of this video. You can click on that and help about. Like, any help would be greatly appreciated, but don't feel obligated to. But I wouldn't say no. Don't forget don't forget the power that you have as an American citizen. You are the power. We the people are the ones that make a difference, and the ones that should be making the difference in how this country is ran. And when we get apathetic, when we get lazy, when we get distracted, when we get tribalized, that's when the monsters take over and ruin it. So we need to do better that way. Next week, I've been really wanting to talk about Sir John Knight, because that has relevance with a lot of it has historical significance to what is going on now if we look through the eyes of Bruin. So look him up. I'm still thinking I'll do a show about him. There's not a lot of information about him, which is kind of frustrating, but we'll do what we can. Last three things I need you to do are obviously I need you to stay free. Stay free. And not the tampons. Stay free. Stay safe. And as always, stay range-minded. I'm not editing. I'm not going to edit this video at all. I think it went really well. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you. Goodbye. I love you. I've got to go to bed. It is like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just getting silly. So maybe... Yeah, you want to hear a joke? No, you don't. Okay, bye. Bye. Seriously, it's time to get off the toilet. Your boss is going to be pissed. Bye.